This video is about fat people finding an excuse to not lose weight. Listen, I spent 20 minutes trying to figure out how I'm gonna talk and be politically correct and to not get anybody mad, but that's not who I am. So I'm gonna offend a lot of people, specifically fat people in this video. So if you're sensitive to that matter, you should probably click off. Anyways, let's get straight to it. So the question is, do you actually have body dysmorphia or are you just fat phobic? So that's the question on the panel.
A radical movement that was started by fat and disabled people to spread awareness about their issues and fight for legal protection has now devolved into a movement to make skinny people feel better about themselves while simultaneously shitting on the same people that started this. A lot of you guys really need to think long and hard about why you think looking fat is wrong.
I've noticed
Bitch, listen, looking fat is based on the individual. And it also based on anybody that's associated with you. It affects everybody that you love. It affects anybody that you're around. So when you say why you think looking fat is wrong, it's based on the person and everybody around you. Like the people around you that loves you is probably like, okay, well, I got to be prepared. Any day she could just drop dead having a heart attack, right? And for yourself, it's like, okay, being fat probably makes me depressed, anxiety, a whole bunch of health issue that comes with it. So yes, it affects everybody around you. And for me, as a bystander, it bothers me because if we're both waiting on elevator and the limit is like 3,000 pounds, I'm not getting in with you. I'm not about to test the springs of the elevator. I don't give a fuck if you feel bad. It's my life. If that makes me fat phobic, let it be. That's just what it is. I feel like no one. And another thing, what the fuck did fat people have a movement? I didn't even know you guys were going through problems. What problems are you possibly facing in society? Who's bothering you guys? Who's your oppressor? Who the fuck is your oppressor? Who is hunting down fat people and killing them? Is there like a Ku Klux Klan that's against fat people? What the fuck? Who is your oppressor? The fuck? You're your own oppressor. Stop eating.
about the way people with privileged bodies relate to body positivity is that they see how a person feels about their body and a person having negative feelings about their body as being equally bad to how someone's body is treated in society. I think a good neutral example of this is like large boobs versus small boobs. People with smaller boobs often say they feel like it's not as good as having big boobs, but the reality in our society is that people with small boobs have privileges that people with large boobs don't. It's much harder to find things that fit, and you have to pay a lot more money for things, and all clothing is made for women with smaller breasts in mind because it's made for thin women. Women with larger breasts are also usually labeled as like overly sexual as well.
Every time I hear
I don't have a comment. Shut up. What the fuck you talk about? The thing is, I feel like people create problems just to be mad at society. People want to be a victim so bad, no matter what it is. I think of them like kids. Like whenever you coddle a kid too much, they become bitches. And that's what this generation, that's what society is right now. Like, wait, the bra size, the fuck, you can easily fix that. You can easily fix it. But anyways, we move on.
Someone recommend a diet of 1,200 calories, I'm reminded of the Minnesota starvation experiment. In 1945, the University of Minnesota did a study on the long-term effects of starvation. Participants were given a diet of 1,500 calories for 24 weeks. It's important to note that these people were chosen because they were happy and healthy before this study. During the study, they became depressed, socially isolated, obsessed with food, and one subject even cut off 3 of his fingers. And that's just the psychological effects. It also had a huge list of physical problems that it caused too, to things like metabolism and heart rate. Those issues did not go away when the study ended. They had lasting mental and physical effects from this study. Next time someone recommends you eat 1,200 calories, just know that it is not near enough, and it is not for your best interest.
Babes.
So I looked up the Minnesota starving experiment, and turns out she left out a lot of key details. So I'm going to point out the details she left out. So they conducted an experiment. They started them off with these contestants. So they started the contestant with 3,200 calories, and then they sliced that in half to 1,500 calories. Now, this is the key part that she left out. Here's what the contestants were allowed to eat: potatoes, rutabagas, turnips, bread, and macaroni. Any person in their right mind knows you're missing a lot from what I just pointed. You're missing the nutrients. And the biggest of all, you have no fucking proteins. So yeah, you're slowly dying. That's what's wrong with that experiment. Now, for the regular person, if you have a healthy 1,200 calories, you're not going to die. You're not going to eat your fingers. Why did you leave out that key information? Those people were not allowed to eat nutritions. They were not allowed to have proteins. Of course, you're going to go crazy. Of course, you're going to be malnourished. You left that part out to justify your point. And all it took was for me to do a 30-second research on the Minnesota starving experiment. Lose some fucking weight. Stop being a victim. We move on.
You know diets don't work. You know they don't because you yourself just said every time I diet, I gained more back. But you may not understand why that's the case. So let's talk about the efficacy of diets right quick because they don't work and they're bullshit. Sorry. First things first.
I disagree. I'm on a diet right now. I've been feeling healthy. I lost like 4 pounds. Granted, I'm not huge. So I know it's harder to lose weight when you're like 600 pounds as opposed to me being 210. But yeah, I'm not. I understand, but you ain't about to fool me. The fuck? Yeah. Diets work. Don't listen to this bitch.
We have known that diets don't work forever. I mean, forever, okay? In 2007, UCLA published a landmark study that showed at least 1/3 to 2/3 of people who lose weight via diets will gain back more weight than they lost within the first 4 to 5 years.
That doesn't mean it don't work. It works, but you allow yourself to go back to those bad habits. It works. It fucking works. If you diet and you stick to it, it works. You going back is a mental thing, but the diet itself works. See, these fucking, oof. Anyway, let me move. Let's keep watching.
That number skyrockets after 5 years. This research has been reconfirmed multiple times in the past 15 years. In fact, a researcher named Kevin D. Hall in 2016 published research specifically on The Biggest Loser, Winners and Contestants. You guys remember that piece of shit show. And what he found was that almost all of them weighed close to, more than, or at their starting weight from the show. Now, why is that? Because diets don't work. They're not efficacious. Efficacy is just a fancy way of saying, does this thing produce the intended or desired outcome? They don't work. I always liken this to an asthma treatment.
So, okay, with that logic, diets don't work. So what are you gonna do to be healthy? Are you just gonna eat chips still? What the fuck are you gonna do? Why is the first thing you go to is going against the very same thing that's gonna help you? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? This is just another video of people victimizing themselves and just want to be in their filth. They have no desire to change, and it's disgraceful, man. It's fucking disgraceful.
Asthma is a really good thing most people understand. If I went to the FDA with my new asthma treatment and said, okay, it works 10% of the time, but in 5 years, everyone's asthma will be worse. Why would the FDA approve that? Why would they be like, okay, but that's how diets work. They work just like that. They don't work, and then they make you gain all the weight back. Now, why is that?
They don't make you gain the weight back. It's a mental thing. So just like anything in life. I feel for fat people. Like, I get it. You feel stuck, but it's not something that's certain. It's a rough thing to get through, but it's not certain. Like the people that loses their legs, both of their legs, that's certain. You'll never walk again. But with the fat person, you just gotta jog every fucking day and then you'll be healthy again. And it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like at the end of the day, it's just how bad you want it. Like, these people clearly don't want it. They're comfortable in their filth. I ain't gonna save them because I'm not Mr. Save-A-Ho. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Yeah, I'm out. If you like that video, I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. So like, share, subscribe, and get me there.